price as the auctioneer. I will indicate bidders on request, and the law permits vendor bids. The words I use to indicate I'm making a bid on behalf of the vendor are vendor bid, and by law, only I as the auctioneer can make a vendor bid. Those terms and conditions, very straightforward and no different to what you'd expect to find at any auction throughout the state of Victoria, together with our contracts of sale. They form your framework for bidding here today. And very shortly, when we get underway with our bidding, you'll see overlaid, you can see some pictures of the property there now. Once the auction gets up and running, you'll see some numbers beginning to appear in white font, and that will give you the current live bid. As we move through the auction, and when we get to a point that we are on the market, I will say on the market. That means from that point on, we sell away today to the highest bidder. And those numbers will turn from white to green, signifying that we are selling and that we are on the market here this afternoon. As I said, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have any questions in relation to today's auction, if you do need assistance with the bidding, please don't hesitate to reach out to Mark and the team. I ask for one courtesy with your bidding here today. If you have finished and you've placed your final bid and you've stretched and there is no more fuel left in the tank, then if you can simply just type in out into the chat, that will allow us to know that you've placed your final bid here today, and we know not to look in your direction any further for bids this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We wish you well if you have joined for the purpose of bidding today. If you're here as a spectator, an interested vendor to see what's happening in the market, or you currently have your home, welcome also. Hopefully this gives you an insight as to what's happening in the Waverley Park estate at the moment. A perfect example, buyers, as you've seen from the pictures that you've seen rolling through on your display, from your inspections, and it's been wonderful to be able to welcome you to the home for a physical inspection over the past couple of weeks, and to give you that real taste of what living at 47 Waverley Park Drive will be like, ladies and gentlemen. A sensational property. You paper and say 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms and 2 car, but that doesn't paint the true picture here, buyers. 2 spacious separate living zones, ducted heating. You can see the split system cooling there as well. But I think you'll find some beautiful features, being that outdoor entertaining space, and with a settlement in mid-January and with restrictions easing, hopefully well enough then to allow you to have your friends and family in your home and to enjoy your new property. Nothing better than inviting them around for a barbecue in that outdoor entertaining space. Cleverly positioned on the corner, the facade uninterrupted by garage, as that is neatly tucked in behind. And as I said, 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. The bedrooms all upstairs, living and accommodation downstairs for you. A short walk back to the Oval, a short walk back to all the amenities that make Waverley Park such an exciting pocket of real estate to live in. Of course, East Link, Monash Freeway, Wheelers Hill Shopping, Brandon Park, all very close by, as is the Waverley Garden Shopping Complex there, just in the other direction. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to hold you back any further. You've come to buy real estate today. Who's going to start us off here? 47 Waverley Park Drive here in Mulgrave. An offer or bid to start, buyers. We're in your hands. Where do we see that opening bid or offer to get us underway here? 47 Waverley Park Drive, buyers. Start us where you will. Don't mind the offer here this afternoon. As I said, you can either unmute your microphone or type your bid into the chat, or call the team members, and they're more than willing to type your bids into the chat and identify you by your paddle number. Certainly make it very easy to buy at an online auction with Ray White, ladies and gentlemen. Where do we see that opening bid? Offer to start, 47 Waverley Park Drive here in Mulgrave, buyers, in your hands. Offer or bid to get us underway. Don't mind the offer now. Offer or bid to start. Paddle 27, welcome to you there. $1 million. Good confidence start there at $1 million. The call. At one's the bid, and you can see it coming up on your screen now at $1 million. The bid. At $1 million, the call, and you can see those wonderful pictures of the property rolling through. At $1 million, let's go together in a $20,000 rise from there. At $1 million, the bid, let's make it $1,020,000 now. At one's the call, buyers, it's in your hands now for 20 on top. At $1 million, can we call it 20 in the rise? At one's the call, can we say 20 now? At $1 million, or is there a better bidder offer now? At one's the bid. Is there 20 on top from here, buyers? At $1 million, great confidence start from paddle 27 there at $1 million the bid. At $1 million the call. At one's bid, looking for a $20,000 rise. Don't miss it here and now. At one is the offer, ladies and gentlemen. It's here and now at $1 million for the first time. At one's the call. Second call, surely not. At $1 million, looking for a $20,000 rise. You can type in 1.02M and that will get your $20,000 bid through. $1 million, paddle 27's in the box seat there. At $1 million, I know the team are working at fever pitch behind the scenes to assist you with your bidding today. At $1 million, the call. We need continued bidding for competition here, buyers. At $1 million now, $1,020,000. Jimmy, welcome there, paddle 13. At $1,020,000, it's 13 versus 27. At $1,020,000, can we say 40 now? At $1 million, can we say 40 on top? $1,020,000's the bid. At $1 million, the start and 20 in the rise, and another 20 makes 40. Who'd like to take us there? At $1,020,000, the bid. $1,020,000 is the bid. Tempting paddle 27 back in for 20,000 in the rise. What do you say? $1,020,000 is the offer. $1,040,000 your turn on top. $1,020,000. Jimmy's got the lead at this stage. Paddle 27. Close behind. $1,040,000 straight back in like that. And Jimmy, I'd encourage you for the same opportunity now. At $1,040,000 for those that haven't yet bid. Here's your opportunity also. At $1,040,000, can we say 60 in the rise? At $1,040,000 and 60, can we say Jimmy at paddle 13, offer it back there now? At $1,040,000, can we say 60? At $1,040,000's the bid, can we say 60 now? At $1,040,000 at 60, straight back in on top. At $1,060,000, DK27, can we say 80? At $1,060,000, we're away with two bidders now. Buyers at $1,060,000, call it 80 in the top. At $1,060,000 the bid. At $1,060,000, call it a $20,000 rise. Make it $1,080,000 in the rise anywhere, buys. At $1,062,000 in the competition, more welcome, of course. At $1,060,000, can we say 80 on top, or are we all done? At $1,060,000, first time to call it $1,060,000. 70. I'll take your 10 and we'll go together there. At $1,070,000 and offer the same chance to everyone logged into the call now. At $1,070,000 the bid. At $1,070,000, call it 80 on top. At $1,070,000, make it 80 in the rise. At $1,070,000 is the bid and 80, can we say now? At $1,070,000, paddle 27 in the box seat. 27 people logged in, watching, seeing what's happening in the market. At $1,070,000, paddle 27. You're in the box seat. You're in the best position to purchase at this stage. At $1,070,000, buyers welcoming the other bidders and competition here today. At $1,070,000, are we all done and finished here this afternoon at $1,070,000 the bid? Taking 10s at this stage. Paddle 8. Make it 80 if you like. Taking a $10,000 rise. Need to see you back in at $1,080,000. Can't quite call it on the market at this level, but when I can, I'm happy to take a smaller bid. I just need to take a 10 at this stage at $1,070,000. Welcoming you in for 10 on top. At $1,080,000 and welcome and thank you for the offer there at $1,080,000. At $1,080,000 and 27 and 13, the opportunities now against you there. Paddle 8's in the driver's seat. At $1,080,000, call it 90. At $1,080,000 is the bid. Can we say 90 now? At $1,080,000, is it 90 in the rise? At $1,080,000 is the call. Or do we just go straight to 1.1 with that knockout bid? At $1,080,000. And David's welcome you in paddle 1 at 90. At $1,090,000 is the call. $1,090,000 in the lead. New bidder, 4 bidding at this stage now. At $1,090,000. Paddle 8, your chance again for a $10,000 rise. At $1,090,000, I know Mark's probably getting some instructions as we speak. At $1,090,000, call it 1.1. Paddle 27, same opportunity for you now. At $1,090,000 is the bid. 90 we've got You can see it on the screen. Danny working beautifully behind the scenes there, entering all our bids at $1,090,000 to make it nice and easy for you and I to see. At $1,090,000 is the call. Rounded up. Next bid 1.1. At $1,090,000 is the call for 10,000 or better bid from here. At $1,090,000, is that our best? Are we all done? Can't take your 5 at this stage. Hold on to it or come with me for 10. At $1,090,000, David's in the box seat there. At $1,090,000, at $1,090,000, looking for 10 or better bid now. At $1,090,000. Taking 10 or better bid. $1,090,000 is the offer to beat now. Can't take your 5 at this stage. 1.1, straight back, paddle 8 there. Welcome.
Andrew, we're selling. We're on the market.
On the market, very clear now, ladies and gentlemen, at $1,100,000 in paddle 27. I'm happy to take that 5 now if that helps you to keep moving. At $1,100,000, paddle 8. At $1,000,001 is in the lead now. At $1,100,000, the call. At $1,000,001, the bid. At $1,100,000, here's your opportunity to buy, ladies and gentlemen, on the market. And selling can't be any clearer than that. At $1,000,001's the call. At 1.1 million's the bid now. At $1,000,001, do we see a 5? $1,100,000. Do we see a 5,000 or better bid? At $1,000,110, good bid. Paddle 15, welcome to you. That's now the 5th bidder today. At $1,110,000, that's the way to buy. At $1,000,110, how do we respond? The other bidders now, paddle 8, paddle 27, paddle 1. At $1,110,000, the call. At $1,110 and 20 now, straight back, paddle 1. At $1,120 and 25. At 25, we've got, can we say 30? At $1,125 now. Jimmy's out. Thank you for your confirmation and for your courtesy here today. $1,125. Paddle 15, you're in the lead. At $1,125, do we say 30 now? At $1,125. $1,125, paddle 15 against paddle 8, paddle 1 earlier. Paddle 1, David, $1,130. Welcome back now. And 35, paddle 15, straight back just like that. At $1,135, David, how do we respond? Do we say 40 now? At $1,135 is the call. Paddle 15's in the lead against paddle 1 and paddle 8. At $1,135. At $1,135 is the number to beat now. At $1,135. Do we say 40? 40 it is. 45. How about 50? $1,145. We're bid and offered $1,145. Spirited thinking, spirited bidding, and I'd like to thank everyone in advance for their bidding here today. $1,145,000. There can only be one winner at $1,145,000. David's in the lead and straight back 15 now. Confident bidding there at $1,155,000. At $1,155,000, David, how do you respond? Do we go again for 5? At $1,155,000. Competitions there, $1,155,000. David, can we see you back in? 60 now, 65. Good confident bidding. I can see you both want to purchase today at $1,165,000 back with paddle 15 there. At paddle 15, $1,165,000 against paddle 1 and paddle 8 earlier. And also paddle 27. Haven't heard from either of you for a little while. At $170 now and $175 is at paddle 15. At $1,170,000 is the call now. At $1,170,000, paddle 15, you've been strong right the way through. At $1,170,000, can we see you back in? At $1,180,000 now, good bid. At $1,180,000, David, do we say I'll match you with 10, or do we go straight to 1.2? At $1,180,000 now. At $1,180,000, we've got. $1,180,000. You staying 5? $1,180,000. to paddle 8 and to paddle 27. Have we seen your best bid today? And if so, if you wouldn't mind typing in out into the chat just so that we know. 185 now the number to beat. At 1,185 the call. At 1,185. 190. 1,190. Just need to be sure we've got our best. 1,190 is the number to beat now. David, over to you again, just as a reminder for paddle 27 and paddle 8. Perhaps Mark or the team can confirm, are we in, are we out, just so that we don't miss an opportunity here today or miss your bid at $1,190,000. And a timely reminder not to wait for the third call, as we can only sell it to our highest bidder. We can't reopen the auction once we've declared the property sold at $1,190,000. Are we all done, or do we see a 5 or better bid from David back on top at $1,190,000, calling away first time? At $1,190,000. Here we go. Second call at $1,190,000. 95. Welcome back. Paddle 8 now at $1,195,000. Welcome back there at $1,195,000. Paddle 15. You're out. You're done at $1,195,000. I thank you for your bidding to David and to paddle 27. We still look in your direction for further bidding at $1,195,000. Is there further bidding today, or have we got your best bid? I'm happy in $1,000 if that helps. At $1,195,000 the bid. Call it 6 if you like. At $1,195,000 and away we go there. At $1,195,000 for one on top. At $1,195,000. $1,195,000. Back with paddle 8 in the lead at $1,195,000. Paddle 15 has said that they're out. You've got 3 calls to get your bid in, of course. If you change your mind and you think that I'll just try one more $1,000 and see if that'll bite today, at $1,195,000 is the bid. And to David, if I can get some confirmation, are you in, are you out this afternoon? At $1,195,000, paddle 8's in the lead and we sell away in their favour if there's no better bid. At $1,195,000, called now for the first time at $1,195,000. Second call at $1,195,000. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Are we all done? At $1,195,000. Looking for 1,000 or better bid to keep the auction moving. 96 now, David. Welcome. At 96, the bid. Paddle 8, how do we respond? And paddle 27 just need to know 1,000 in the rise. At $1,197,000. At $1,197,000, do we call it 98 or straight to 1.2? At $1,197,000's the call now, David, against you. At $1,197,000. $1,197,000. $1,197,000. $1,000 or better bid. $1,197,000, paddle 8. Got your leading bid at this stage. $1,197,000 now. 1,000 or better bid from David. We'll see the lead change again at $1,197,000. Great competition here this afternoon between 5 bidders, showing you the market is alive and well. Private inspections are back. Interest rates at an all-time low, ladies and gentlemen, at $1,197,000. You combine all of that with a spectacular home like Waverley Park Drive at $1,197,000. You see bidding from 5 at $1,197,000. David, are we in? Are we out? We're in for another 1,000 now at $1,198,000. Paddle 8, do we go again? At $1,198,000 the bid. At $1,198,000. $1,198,000. $1,198,000. Do we round it to 1.2? David, I'd encourage you to get your next offer ready in case paddle 8 comes back on top with another bid. 1.2, good bid there, paddle 8. At $1,200,000, strong bid showing your intentions there. At $1,200,000 the call. At 1.2 the bid there. At $1,200,000, David, are we in, are we out? At $1,200,000, paddle 8, I encourage you to get your next bid ready as well. At $1,200,000, have we got another bid today? At $1,200,000's the call, or are we all done? At $1,200,000 once. At $1,200,000. Second call. At $1,200,000 here this afternoon. At $1,200,000 the call. David, do we see you back in again? Or do we knock down and sell in favour of paddle 8? At $1,200,000. Well, call away, third and final time. I can't accept any late bids or offers. Need to know, are we in or out? At $1,200,000 the bid with paddle number 8. They're in the lead and we'll buy if there's no better offer, ladies and gentlemen. A quick last three calls. Paddle 15 back in at 202. At $1,202, and I should think so there. At $1,202. Paddle 8, what's the next move? Paddle 15 and paddle 1, get your next bids ready. $1,202. $1,202 now. Mark and the team are on the phone giving you all the encouragement at $1,202,000 the bid at $1,202,000. To David and to the Zimmerman family, paddle 8. Do we see next bid now? $1,202,000. Paddle 15's got the lead. If we don't see a better bid at $1,202,000. Are we all done and finished now? Buyers at $1,202,000 for the first call at $1,202,000. Second time now. 204 back in 2 at $1,204,000. 205 straight back, paddle 15. That's the way. Got to have that next bid queued up, ready to go at $1,205,000 at $1,205,000. 207. 207, that's the way. 208 at 208 now. At $1,208,000. Paddle 8. Over to you now. $1,208,000. $1,208,000. Paddle 8, are you still in the auction now? David, paddle 1, it's been about 4 minutes since we saw your last bid. Are you in? Are you out? If you could just confirm for us either with another bid or typing out into the chat so we know which direction to look for bidding today. At $1,210,000, paddle 8 says you need to look at me because I'm in front. At $1,210,000 now, 15, what do we say? At 210's the call, what about 15? At $1,210,000, paddle 15, what do you say in response to that? At $1,211,000 is in the lead now. At $1,211,000's the best bid. At $1,211,000. $1,211,000. 215. 215's paddle 8 back on top at $1,215,000. Calming the tone of the auction down, buyers, giving you that opportunity to think without my blaring voice in your ear here today at $1,216,000 now, paddle 15. 17 now. $1,217,000 with paddle 8. 218. $1,218,000. The best way is just to set a limit and go hard to the limit at $1,218,000 buys. 218 over $1 million now with paddle 15. If you've just joined the meeting, you can see green on the screen means sell. Current bid selling away at $1,218,000 if there's no higher offer at $1,218,000. for those bidders that we haven't heard from for a little while, if you wouldn't mind just confirming whether you're in or out. At 1,220,000, Paddle 8's in the lead again. At 1,220,000, just because we don't want to be thinking, is there going to be a late bid coming? We need to know who's participating and who's not. At $1,220,000, Paddle 8's back on top. $21, $221. $1,221,000. Paddle 8, how do we respond to that now? 221's the lead. 222, 1,000. 223. Do we say 225? 223 we've got. Happy, one or better bid. 223 we've got that locked away. 1,223,000. 25 now. 25 back with Paddle 8. Paddle 15. You've set out before and then you've come back in. You'll have 3 calls to get your offer in here this afternoon to David and the other bidders. The same courtesy of 3 calls and last opportunity for you now. At 1,225,000, I just need to make it abundantly clear that if you're going to wait for the last minute, that last minute should happen around the second call, because once we get to the third and final call, there'll be very little delay before we knock down here this afternoon. And once I've declared it sold, it is sold. If a bid appears in the chat after I've declared it sold, we cannot accept that late bid at $1,225,000. That is your fair warning. I can't be any clearer than that. At $1,225,000. Once then in the call at $1,225,000. To David and to Paddle 27, are we out at $1,225,000? Second call now. Paddle 15, are we sure? Have we definitely got your best bid today? At $1,225,000, as I said, I can't accept late bids or offers. Once my hands have clapped together and we say sold, it is done. I can't accept late bids. So get your bid in now if you're still in the offering here today at $1,225,000. We call away now for the third and final time. Definitely no further rise here. 230. Welcome back at 230 now. Woo! Just in the nick of time, Paddle 15. Just could feel my hands coming together. 1,230,000. You got your bid in just in time. At $1,230,000 now, Paddle 8. You've had a moment to think while we gathered that next bid as to what your next move is now. At $1,230,000, Paddle 15. You've come back in a strong way with a $5,000 rise. At $1,225,000. 30's now the lead with Paddle 15. Against you earlier, Paddle 8. $1,230,000. Give you the same courtesy and time at $1,230,000. To get that next offer in, or simply just type in out into the chat at $1,230,000. I appreciate everyone's bidding here today. And for those vendors that have logged in, I hope you've enjoyed our auction. 5 people fighting it out from $1 million right the way through now to $1,230,000. And I sense there might be 1 or 2 more bids left in the auction today at $1,230,000, unless I get told out at $1,230,000. Paddle 8, what are your instructions there? At $1,230,000. We'll call once and away at $1,230,000. Second call. 235, strong bid. At 235's the call. At $1,235,000, Paddle 15, what do we say? Do we call it 40? Or maybe that strong knockout at 250. At $1,235,000, we've got, where do we go from there? At $1,235,000, 237. At 37 and call it 40 now. At 237's the bid. 237's the number to beat. 1,237,000. 1,237,000. Paddle 8, it is against you now. Paddle 15 is in the lead at 1,237,000. 237, keep it moving. Happy in 1,000 or better bid if that helps. At $1,237,000. Make it 38 or straight to 40 at 1,237,000 or simply type in out if you're done at $1,237,000. First time now, 1,237,000. Second call at 1,237,000, paddle 8, 240 now. At 40 is called, do we say another 2, paddle 15. At 1,240,000, do we go another 2,000? At 1,240,000, we've got 1,240,000. 1,240,000. Paddle 15, do we see any further bidding and offers from you now? $1,240,000. Paddle 8's in the lead. $1,240,000. As the screen scrolls through the magnificent pictures of the home. Can't stop thinking about that outdoor entertaining space. The sunny afternoon today makes you excited about your settlement in January, inviting your friends and family around to enjoy your new home. $1,240,000 the call. Paddle 15. Are we in? Are we out here this afternoon? At $1,240,000. Well, call away once at $1,240,000. Second time now at $1,240,000. Well, call away, third and final time, ladies and gentlemen, 241. At 41's the call there, at 241. 241's the bid. Paddle 8, where do we go from there? 1,241,000. Paddle 15 versus paddle 8. Can we tempt you back in one more time at 1,241,000? $241's the number to beat. $1,241,000. Here we go, buyers, for the third call. For the first call of 1,241,000. 3 calls and we're done at 1,241,000. Second time now. 245, strong bid. At 1,245,000, you can match that enthusiasm, paddle 15 if you like, and make it 1,250,000 on top. At 245, we've got at 45's the call. You don't need to wait for the third call to get your bid in. You can put 1,000 or better bid from here. At 1,245,000, first time they're calling it 1,245,000. Second time now. Are we all done? At $1,245,000. Looking for 1,000 or better bid at 1,245,000. We're bidding offered for the third and final time. Last opportunity, buyers. Are we all done and finished at $1,245,000? Paddle 15. I seek your confirmation. Are we in? Are we out here this afternoon at 1,245,000? As I said, I can't accept late bids or offers. I'll give everyone the courtesy of 3 final calls, and then we sell away in favour of paddle 8 at 1,245,000. First time. Second call at $1,245,000. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, for the third and final call. Paddle 15. This is fair warning at $1,245,000. Need to know, are we in? Are we out? At $1,245,000. It's selling if there's no better bid at $1,245,000. The call. Last opportunity. All done on the third and final time. Paddle 15. I asked just for your courtesy. Are you in? Are you out? Type in the next bid, or just type in out into the chat, and then we know we've got your best bid. Definitely out at 1,245,000, ladies and gentlemen. I think we might have got there at 1,245,000 once. Second call. Final warning. Third and final time. All done, no better bid we sell at $1,245,000. We are selling. We are sold, and congratulations. Well purchased to paddle 8 to the Zimmerman family. Well done here this afternoon to paddles 5, 1, 27, and also 13 familiar. Thank you so much for your bidding. I hope you enjoy the auction here this afternoon. If you are thinking about buying or selling real estate in either Waverley Park, Mulgrave, or the City of Monash, contact Marc Lum and his team. Certainly here to help you on behalf of Ray White, Glen Waverley. Enjoy the rest of the sunshine this afternoon. Stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you online very soon.